Most people know Qin Shi Huang as a tyrant. He burned books. He ruled with fear. And he built monuments so massive that they still dominate the Chinese landscape today. But here is a question that is rarely asked in simple terms. If Qin Shi Huang was only a brutal dictator, why did the system he created survive him? Why did later dynasties, even those that condemned him, quietly keep most of what he built? To answer that, we need to stop asking whether Qin Shi Huang was good or evil, and start asking what he actually achieved. Before Qin Shi Huang, China did not exist as a unified country. It was a collection of rival states, each with its own laws, currencies, writing systems, and military traditions. War was constant. Borders shifted every generation. And loyalty was local, not national. When Qin Shi Huang completed the conquest of the warring states, he did more than win a war. He changed the definition of political power. Instead of ruling through hereditary nobles, he replaced them with appointed officials. Instead of local laws, he imposed a single legal system. Instead of regional customs, he enforced standardized rules across the entire realm. This was not simply conquest. It was transformation. One of Qin Shi Huang's most important achievements was standardization. Weights and measures were unified. Coinage was standardized. The writing system was normalized so officials from different regions could communicate. These changes sound technical, but they reshaped daily life. They made trade predictable, administration possible, and large-scale governance realistic. Without standardization, an empire cannot function. And before Qin Shi Huang, no one had attempted it on this scale in China. Another critical achievement was the destruction of the old aristocracy. Under earlier systems, power was inherited. Local elites controlled land, armies, and law. The central ruler depended on their loyalty. Qin Shi Huang broke this model. He replaced noble families with bureaucrats whose authority came directly from the state. Their power was temporary. Their loyalty was institutional, not personal. This system was harsh, but it was effective. It meant the state, not families, controlled power. And this idea would define Chinese governance for the next 2,000 years. Critics often focus on Qin Shi Huang's use of legalism. The laws were strict. Punishments were severe. Obedience was demanded, not negotiated. This is often presented as proof of failure. But legalism was not designed to be humane. It was designed to build order quickly in a fractured world. In a land exhausted by centuries of war, stability mattered more than moral comfort. And for a brief time, Qin Shi Huang achieved that stability. His greatest weakness was not what he built. It was how fast he built it. Reforms were imposed without consent. Resistance was crushed rather than absorbed. Fear replaced legitimacy. When Qin Shi Huang died, the system lacked flexibility, and it collapsed under pressure. But here is the paradox. The dynasty fell. The structure remained. The Han dynasty rejected Qin Shi Huang's harshness in rhetoric, but it kept his centralized administration, his standardized systems, and his vision of a unified state. This tells us something important. Qin Shi Huang did not create a perfect empire. He created a blueprint. Later rulers softened it, modified it, and humanized it, but they did not discard it. In that sense, Qin Shi Huang was not just a conqueror. He was an architect. He answered a question that had haunted China for centuries. How do you rule a vast, diverse land without relying on feudal loyalty? His answer was the centralized bureaucratic state. And once that idea existed, it could not be undone. So what did Qin Shi Huang really achieve? He did not create harmony. He did not create happiness. And he did not create justice as we understand it today. He created permanence. He turned chaos into structure. He turned territory into statehood. And he turned the idea of China into a political reality. That achievement came at enormous human cost, and it deserves criticism. But ignoring it would mean misunderstanding why China developed the way it did. History does not remember Qin Shi Huang because he was kind. It remembers him because he was foundational. And foundations, once laid, shape everything that comes after.